Back pages tonight here on Sky Sports News, bringing you a first look at the sports stories in the morning's newspapers. Joining us tonight, very pleased to say, Sam Dean, football reporter for The Telegraph, and the Mirror's chief football writer, John Cross. Good evening to you both, gents. Let's quickly run through the back pages. Well, Spain are into the Euro final. Their 16-year-old sensation, Lamine Yamal, makes the back page of the Times as they look ahead to Sunday's showpiece in Berlin. The front of the Metro has a message for England ahead of their semi-final, saying it's now or never, N-E-T-H-E-R, never, as they prepare to face Virgil van Dijk and company in Dortmund. By this stage of the tournament, England usually front-page news as well as dominating the sports section. The cover of The Star has Harry Kane depicted as Lord Kitchener. Google him if you're not sure. Blast the past from history lessons in a rallying cry to the squad. And Kane may be in the unusual position of feeling some heat for his place in the team right now, but in the Telegraph, a piece here saying that he's been proving people wrong all of his career. All adds up to a brilliant occasion. The Sun has Gareth Southgate in the pose, heading for what they call the final frontier. Well, John, let's start with the Times. So that performance for Spain, 2-1 winners over France, and it is Lamine Yamal, Barcelona's star, 16-year-old, who stuns the French. What a sensational story that is for the Spanish journalist, John. How impressive was he?
Absolutely wonderful, wasn't he? What a goal. What a moment. The youngest scorer in the tournament history. He doesn't turn 17 until this weekend, does he? He was just mesmerising. I love his performance. He's almost grown into the tournament. There were some question marks at first, wasn't there, whether he was too young, but I think the balance of the Spain team, the way that they've won their way through the group stages and then carried on winning with such style and with such pizzazz in their performances. Tonight, I thought, if it wasn't Lamine Yamal, it was also about their midfield. I mean, Rodri, I just thought, what a midfield masterclass. To me, they do look the best team, the outstanding team. We normally have one outstanding team in each tournament, and I do think Spain certainly have that tag right now. They're playing with a fluidity and a class that is unmatched so far. So whoever gets through tomorrow night, England or Holland, let's pray, I certainly will be, that it's England, will know that they've got one hell of a task on their hands, because I do think at the moment Spain just look absolutely irresistible.
Well, it's covered in your paper as well, Sam. In the Telegraph, teenage hero Yamal makes a Euros history as youngest scorer. I mentioned Rodri there as well. John said that. I know there was a discussion about whether he should be considered for Ballon d'Or and why he hasn't been in recent years. But how daunting a challenge for England if they get past the Netherlands?
Yeah, it's a big if, as you say, but as John has said, the balance in this Spain team is quite remarkable. And they're the only team in this tournament, I think, that have really played what I would call club football, in that they've got this organisation and this structure and this ability to attack as a sort of cohesive unit, which no other teams really had. Perhaps Germany had too, but obviously Spain knocked them out. But even France, who was such a hotly tipped team, have such a good record in recent international tournaments, they never came close to producing the kind of attacking cohesion that Spain have showed. And you can see that the system is so well drilled. There are so many players with huge technical class, and on the wings with Lamine Yamal and Nico Williams, they have two players who can just tear apart a defence at any moment, really. And you think back to those Spain teams of sort of 2008 to 2012, when they went on that amazing run in international tournaments. They were perhaps more methodical and solid than this team. This Spain team seems quite a lot more exciting and more fun, and certainly players like Yamal and Williams help to contribute that level of excitement and joy to their play. And yeah, as John says, the midfield as well, with Fabian Ruiz and Rodri, have just been totally dominant in every game they've played. And yeah, you really do fear for England, if indeed it is England who get through. You certainly wouldn't back Gareth Southgate's team to keep the ball against this Spain side or to create a huge amount of chances. So it could be a long afternoon if that is the case, but let's see how tomorrow night goes first.
Absolutely. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's just reflect, though, John, on quickly before we move on France. How do you expect the French press to consider the situation of Didier Deschamps, who has won a World Cup for the country, but there's not been too many people happy with him throughout this tournament?
No, it's been spiky this week, hasn't it? He's really faced some difficult questions. He bit back, I think, in his pre-match press conference saying, well, you know, almost if you don't like it, you can lump it, really, we're going to get on with it. The one that I feel a bit sorry for, frankly, is Kylian Mbappe, who I mean, in the group stages, breaks his nose, has clearly been, you know, incredibly troubled by this injury. Lots of reports, even in the French media, saying that he's struggling because of the pain to sleep. And so no wonder why he can't produce decent performances. I thought he gave it his all tonight. I mean, he provided the assist, and then right towards the end, you know, he cuts inside and blazes a good chance over the bar. So I think it's mixed for them. Look, I don't, you know, I think because they just haven't played particularly well, and I think the French fans and the French media always expect them to do, you know, remarkable things each and every time. I do think that he'll face a barrage of criticism over this, but I do think they've lost to a magnificent team, and you have to kind of keep that in context equally. They're always in the mix, aren't they? Semi-finals or finals, France, and I just think they are a sensational team. So I do think you kind of almost have to balance the criticism that will inevitably follow.
Indeed, we'll see how Didier Deschamps continues or not with France. Let's talk, though, England against the Netherlands. Front page of the Metro. It's now or never. Nether written N-E-T-H-E-R in orange with the exclamation mark. Sam, I know we all like to build this up. We're full of hyperbole, but is it now or never? When you look at the players pictured there, Bellingham, Saka and Rice, is there an argument that England might be better in a couple of years' time at the World Cup? Or do you think when you get this close, it has to be now or never?
Yeah, I certainly wouldn't say this is the last chance for this England generation. I think there's only a few players, if any, who you would say this is the last tournament for. And certainly there's a lot of room for growth. I think as we've seen throughout this tournament, these are still a lot of young players like Foden, Bellingham, Saka that you mentioned, who are nowhere near their peak yet and nowhere near their prime. So England fans shouldn't feel that this is the last chance they're going to get. That doesn't mean it's not a good chance. It's a very good chance. And England, as we know, have got here without playing particularly well, without controlling the ball anywhere close to a team like Spain has. But they're here, and they're 2 games away from glory. And certainly Netherlands, I think, will be a beatable opponent, if not a very difficult one. And yes, I understand the hyperbole. This is the time to dream. I think, as the Telegraph puts on our front page tomorrow of sports section, it's time to make memories that will last a generation. And these are the kind of nights that we all watch football for. So, yeah, let's get excited. Let's go for it.
Absolutely. Well, let's get even more excited. Let's go to the back page of The Sun, the rallying cry, John, the final frontier. Gareth Starr's trek to make history. Sorry, I can't sound more like Patrick Stewart or James Kirk. But what do you make of this? He's brought it up, hasn't he, in a sense? He's talked about pressure, but he's actually made the point that this would be unprecedented for England to reach a final on foreign soil.
Hey, look, I really like the way that Gareth Southgate has addressed his pre-match stuff today. I think he's sort of almost said, look, we want to make history. It would be the first time that England have reached a final on foreign soil. He brings that up. He also brought up about how the squad has grown throughout the tournament, and also really raised the point about how he felt as if early in the tournament, he felt that they were gripped with a fear, and a fear that he really thought had gone away under his regime, that sort of kind of almost gripped by this fear of how heavy the shirt has weighed on some of the players' shoulders. He thought that some of the players were a little bit too concerned about some of the criticism from former players, if you like, and that had sort of kind of weighed them down. And he was sort of almost drew this analogy about how when England, as good as sort of kind of clinched their qualification with albeit a draw against Denmark, you know, some of the Danish players were celebrating, and similar as well with Slovenia. The Slovenian fans were having a party. England fans, even though they're top of the group, were chucking beer at the manager. I mean, talk about contrast. And I think Gareth Southgate at times, I think, has looked a sort of a troubled figure, if you like. He does feel as if he's had at times the weight of the world on his shoulders. And I thought that actually after Switzerland and again today, he spoke with much greater authority, much more confidence and belief. I really like the way that he's growing into it. I really like the messages that he's getting across. He's trying to give the players a bit more confidence, isn't he, as they approach this huge game against Holland. And I like the message that he's getting across. And I think he's back to almost the Gareth Southgate that we've become to know and love over the last 8 years, because no one should really deride his achievement. Third semi-final in 8 years in charge. that is the best record of any England manager in those sort of terms, really. And I have to say, I do think that deserves a hell of a lot of credit. And as we move forward, I do think that sort of kind of some of that criticism is going to go away. They could play better, of course they can, but as long as they're in the latter stages of the tournament, I think that's all that matters right now.
Absolutely. Southgate has his place in history, so does Harry Kane, current record goal scorer, but the captain's coming for criticism too. Let's look at the Telegraph. We've got a piece with Harry Kane by your chief football correspondent, Sam, Jason Bird in Dortmund. Under fire captain aiming to silence his critics once again. What have you made of the criticism of Harry Kane? Is it justified?
Well, I think to an extent it is. I think Kane would be the first to accept that his performances haven't really been at the level that most people would expect from a player of his calibre, and after a season he's had it at Bayern Munich. And certainly there are concerns over his fitness, over his mobility, and I think it's been reasonable for pundits and fans and journalists to question that. But equally, he is still Harry Kane, and that is the thing to remember here. You can't come to semi-final of Euros and not play Harry Kane, because look at what he's achieved for England, look at what he's done. And I think the point that Jason makes in his piece today is that Kane has been doubted and sort of written off so many times in his career. When he came through at Spurs and people thought he wasn't going to make it, then he had one great season and people said he's a one-hit wonder, and then gradually he's proved all those people wrong. And it would be completely within his character to do so again, even if there are concerns from the outside at least about the way he's moving and the way he's getting involved in games. So certainly the criticism's fair, but equally I don't think anybody in England would be at all surprised if Kane scores a goal tomorrow night. And don't forget, if he scores two, then suddenly he's a top scorer in the tournament, which would put a bit of a perspective on his struggles so far, that he could still end the tournament with the Golden Boot.
Indeed, John, your thoughts on Kane? I remember substituting Gary Lineker at Euro 92 didn't go well down for Graham Taylor. What are your thoughts on the challenge of perhaps dropping his captain for Southgate?
Yeah, do you know what, Teddy? It did actually feel a little bit strange. Even Ivan Toney coming on for Harry Kane on Saturday, just gone. Look, I think Harry Kane is an absolute world-class striker. I think he's a fantastic leader and captain for England, record goal scorer. You know, you listen to players talking about him this week, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Luke Shaw, both saying that he offers so much more than just, you know, being the player on the pitch and being a world-class finisher. And I do think they look up to him and he leads. I don't feel that, as Sam was rightly saying, I don't feel that Kane's been at his best in this tournament. I do think that maybe missing the last few weeks of the season with a bit of a back injury for Bayern Munich has played into that, whether that's still a remnants of that or whether it's sort of kind of match fitness or sharpness. I actually feel so sorry for Kane, because I think he's one of our all-time great players. I really, really do. And if you remember what, 3 years ago at the last Euros, he went into that not quite fully fit. You know, he has the heartbreak then of the World Cup quarter-final last time out. This is a guy who has served his country, and he's a brilliant captain and fantastic leader and symbol of what the England team, you know, wants to be. And I so hope it comes good for him in this tournament. No one deserves it more, and you can feel that passion when he talks and indeed when he plays. He's not fired for him so far, but as Sam rightly said, you wouldn't put it past him to score a couple on occasion, because he loves those personal accolades and he loves playing into the team ethic as well. So, you know, I do think there's more to come for Harry Kane. I do think he'll be fired up for it.
Indeed, he's looking forward to battling Virgil van Dijk, isn't he? Gents, we're going to take a quick break. Thank you for now. When we come back, we will look at more of the back pages. John's paper, The Mirror, has much more on England versus the Netherlands semi-final in Dortmund at the top right of the page as well. They've Erik ten Hag mentioning Manchester United as title contenders. More on that next. Welcome back. You're watching Back Pages tonight, and it's welcome back to Sam Dean, football reporter for The Telegraph, and The Mirror's chief football reporter, John Cross. Gentlemen, let's consider the Netherlands and how they can hurt England. A piece by Daniel Sakiri in The Telegraph on just that note. 4 ways he says that England can hurt the Netherlands. One is pick Gordon to exploit space on right flank. 2, use new system to smother Memphis Depay. Show Virgil van Dijk onto his left foot and carry the ball through midfield. Sam, we're expecting the Gordon one to certainly not come true, but I suppose 3 out of 4 could work?
3 out of 4 could work. And you never know, it could be another 2-hour-long game, so there might yet be time for Gordon, who obviously hasn't really had the sniff that people were expecting him to have at this tournament so far. But he certainly could have an impact. And Dan Zakiri, as you say, he's really flagged up the fact that the Dutch are quite an asymmetrical team, and Denzel Dumfries, their right wing back, really likes to push forward and provide the width, which leaves a few gaps behind. But yeah, the other three, Smother, Depay, I think a lot of Premier League supporters will not look at Memphis Depay's name and tremble in fear, but people should not forget how successful he's been in his career and what kind of threat he can pose the English team. And yeah, I think the fourth point that Dan makes, carrying the ball through midfield, is a very interesting one, because the Dutch play these two highly technical midfielders in Reindeers and Schouten, who are great on the ball, but perhaps not quite as powerful and dynamic as the likes of Declan Rice and Jude Bellingham. So theoretically, at least, you'd like to think that England's midfielders could go on a few marauding runs and create some space that way. But as ever, these things are not as easy to do as they are to say.
Well, it's very, very easy from this position, isn't it, John? Let's continue to enjoy our perspective with the front page of the Metro. Virgil van Dijk, Memphis Depay and Cody Gakpo pictured, I believe, the familiar faces. What do you make of the threat of the Netherlands and suggestions in some circles, John, that Van Dijk could be exploited at this stage of his career?
Well, good luck with that. I haven't seen too much hope or expectation of that, I have to say, in this tournament. Look, I don't think he had an absolutely fantastic, outstanding season for Liverpool, the one just gone. I thought it was a bit of a roller coaster ride. I think when we consider that Virgil van Dijk has been one of the great defenders in the Premier League era, I still think he has an aura and class about him which makes he'll be a formidable defender and opponent for England. I think that goals has been an issue and goal threat. Memphis Depay obviously playing sort of up front, really leading the line, and Cody Gakpo being much more of a danger, cutting in almost from the left-hand side, isn't he? And being a real worry for it. I think it'll be an incredibly tight and intense game. I do think it's almost a 50-50. I do think then that sort of kind of Holland have won through quite well. I mean, obviously they had to come from behind in the last round against Turkey, but England have been pushed the whole way to lots of extra times in their knockout games, which is not something that Holland have been through. So I do wonder whether sort of Holland might have a little bit of freshness. Look, I think if England play to their best and are at their best, then I do think they win the game. But it's making sure they're right at it and that improvement maintains and carries on, because they were better against the Swiss and they'll need to be better again, I think, to beat Holland.
John, just thinking, is it sparked any memories? For some viewers, it'll be Euro 96, but a lot of people look at Rotterdam in October 1993 when Ronald Koeman scored a free kick after arguably should have been sent off in that match. Think any of that emotion adds to it this time around?
Yeah, I think so. He's going to flip it, isn't he? He's going to flip it. He is, Look, I do think there's been a great history between England and Holland, isn't there? And I mean, we all remember, don't we, Euro '96 and that golden, glorious sunshine day at Wembley, but also the kind of the ups and the downs. I think there's a great rivalry because we're so familiar with so many of their players. I think it'll be a fantastic occasion tomorrow night. I really do. I'll tell you what, I am just outside of Dortmund. The weather might be tropical because I don't know whether sort of kind of the broadcast has picked up some of the thunderstorms outside. It's raining really hard, so get ready for it. I do think tomorrow won't be quite as sunny here in Dortmund. No, well, we'll see how it develops. Hopefully it won't be as controversial as that night in Rotterdam in '93. Let's talk Manchester United. Sam, Eric Ten Hag's been speaking. Also been a bit of movement in the transfer market with Mason Greenwood heading to Marseille, with Roberto De Zerbi saying that he will protect him like a son. What do you think of this for a 22-year-old player? Does this seem like the amicable solution for everyone?
It seems to be on paper a solution that suits all parties, although it does remain to be seen just whether the final details of this deal can be done and if there are any late objections from anyone in Marseille or anything like that. But as it stands, it looks like this deal probably is going to happen. And you think you have to say, given everything that's gone on with Greenwood and everything that's happened in the past few years, for me, it makes sense for him to go abroad again. We saw how well he played in Spain last year, and clearly being away from England helps him and his personal development. And from his side of things, at least, and from people around him, you can see the argument for going to France and playing under a manager like De Zerbi, who obviously speaks English after his time at Brighton and has a good record of nurturing young players with a lot of talent. So, yeah, it seems to be a move that suits most parties, if not all parties. And from what we're reading and what we're hearing, it's going to be a deal that should happen in the next few days.
We'll keep across Ligue 1 over the next weeks of the transfer window and the season to come. Let's talk about Erik ten Hag generally. John, in the Mirror, ten Hag sets sights on a title charge for United. Been speaking about loving the new structure as well. Do you enjoy this bullish ten Hag?
Well, he needs to. I think he needs to come out and say what he's going to do. A couple of things really caught my eye from what he was saying. You know, it was an interview with the in-house club channel, what is it, MUTV, saying about he wants to go on the front foot, he wants to go out and attack, he wants to be more positive. And let's see whether he's able to achieve that. They're obviously looking to strengthen the squad, don't forget. But the other eye-catching thing, of course, is that basically he made it very plain that he wants to turn United this coming season into title contenders and into title challengers, which is a bold claim. But look, you know, he's got a record of winning 2 trophies, you know, in his first 2 seasons. So I just think he's got to go on the front foot. I quite like the positive messaging, really. United, I think, did the right thing ultimately in sticking with Ten Hag. It was a long, drawn-out process. Then they've got to back their man with a new contract. And then, of course, you know, comes the kind of new structure and new setup. And I think, really, it was very much this kind of message, wasn't it, to get out there and to say, look, United are going to be a force to be reckoned with, but I'm also very happy now with the new structure. So let's get on and move forward. I've still got my doubts whether they can make that leap, but they did have so many injuries and so many setbacks. You know, if they can get a sort of a clean bill of health and sort of improve on that front, then I do think United do have an opportunity to kind of be back, but, you know, sort of battling for top 4, if not in the title contention.
OK, we'll keep across United. It is England up next against the Netherlands, of course, so Wednesday night. The eye back page to round things off. Criticism of footballers at Euros hard to bear, says Ben Stokes, England's cricket captain. Let's finish off just with a prediction. John, in a word, do England go through?
Yes, they do. Always believe.
And Sam?
Yes, on penalties.
Brilliant. OK, thank you, gents. Speak to you soon. If you missed any of the show, a chance to see back pages at hour. Also available as a podcast wherever you get your podcasts.
Let's start with the first of the 2 semifinals at Copa America. Of course, we got Uruguay, Colombia coming up on Wednesday, but the focus for now, Canada and Argentina Tuesday in New Jersey, a rematch of the tournament opener, which of course was won by Argentina 2-0 on second half goals from Julian Alvarez and Lautaro Martinez. 19 days later, they're going to meet again in the semifinal. Let's hear from Argentina manager Lionel Scaloni.
Bueno, Leo está bien, terminó bien, así que mañana será parte del partido, así que estamos tranquilos. Es que el 99% de las veces está para jugar. Nunca me ha pasado que no esté para jugar. No, cada vez que ha salido a la cancha estaba para jugar. Está para jugar, sí, no tengas duda. ¿100% lo ves? Está para jugar, sin duda. Es una decisión, es muy fácil para mí, porque es una decisión muy franca, es sentarme con él, ¿cómo estás? ¿Estoy bien? Listo, jugás. ¿No estoy bien? Bueno, jugá los últimos 30. Es así de fácil.
¿Puede jugar? Sí. Okay, he's playing.
It's as easy as that,
It's as
right?
easy
When it
as
comes to
that.
Lionel Messi,
That's
maybe that's all there is. What do you make of what the manager says there?
Well, really, it's an existential question that we must ask ourselves. Do we believe Lionel Scaloni? And that's it. It comes down to that. If you believe what Lionel Scaloni is telling you in the press conference, that Lionel Messi is indeed fit and ready to play, está para jugar. ¿Está para jugar? Sí, está para jugar. Okay, if he's fit and ready to play, then I think that changes the conversation. However, I feel like there's a whole lot of wiggle room there in the está para jugar. I don't know that this is the best version of Lionel Messi. In fact, I think with certainty that it's not the best level that he could be at this point. I think obviously he has felt something. Obviously something is bothering him. And if you go back to the performance against Ecuador, the guy was not moving. And let me make this distinction. Not moving well, just not moving, period. And he has to be able to play at a much higher level than what we saw against Ecuador in order for him to be effective. So if you believe Lionel Scaloni, and if Lionel Scaloni is telling the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help him God, then we must take him at his word and say, okay, let's see it out on the field if indeed Lionel Messi is ready to have an impact, the sort of impact that Argentina need him to have.
What's your level of confidence in Messi?
I wasn't confident heading into the Ecuador game. You know, this has been no secret. You've asked me, I said,
Está para jugar.
Está para jugar. But then he says, when he's here, he's played. It's never happened. That's a lie, Scaloni. You had him against Bolivia in La Paz, and you chose to rest him because he clearly was nursing something. So after that Bolivia game, he comes back. This was last season. He comes back in the World Cup qualifying to Inter Miami, and then you see what happened to Messi. Takes a few days off. I'm good to go. What happened? Plays in Miami. Comes out minute 30th, I believe. He's clearly injured. We saw this again this season with Inter Miami when they played against Monterrey in the CONCACAF Champions Cup. Wasn't himself, didn't move, as Ali was saying, against Monterrey in the second leg of that tournament. They're out. I've seen this many times with him, and it's natural. He's 37 years old. The problem here is, while I may believe Scaloni will play him, because that I believe, I don't believe the decision is his. It's Messi's. And how can it not be? And we see this in the Euros when we talk about Cristiano Ronaldo. How nobody can tell Cristiano Ronaldo what to do. How he's holding hostage the Portuguese national team. Messi's not quite holding his team hostage because he still produces and he's still very important to this team. But certainly in a moment like this, you see what he doesn't do when he's not fit for the Argentine national team.
They criticize Roberto Martinez for not making the decision. Why not criticize Scaloni then for not making the decision?
I think you should. I think
really?
Absolutely. What if could you imagine if they lose to Canada? Messi's out there and he's not moving like he didn't move versus Ecuador, and Canada, who's been playing well, have a lot of confidence, are playing with house money, get a result and go to the final, and Argentina's out. What are they going to say?
By the way, these are decisions that can be made. You just mentioned Cristiano Ronaldo. Fernando Santos in the World Cup made the decision and said, no, Cristiano, you got to come and sit here next to me. And in the end, that didn't quite work out for Fernando Santos, Portugal, or Cristiano Ronaldo, and then there's criticism on everybody. Roberto Martinez decided against making that decision. He said, no, we're going to write Cristiano Ronaldo. That didn't work out either. And so, look, we think that the managers have this power. And Fernando Santos obviously thought that he did. I don't know whether Lionel Scaloni has that power or whether he wants to have that power and wants to be the guy that sits down Lionel Messi. I don't know that he wants to be in that role. And so I think it's all too convenient for his own narrative that Lionel Messi tells him, ¿está para jugar? Sí. Okay, then you play.
Right.
And that's a way of him shifting the responsibility onto Lionel Messi and say, look, he told me he's ready to play, I'm going to play. How can I sit him down when he told me he was ready to play?
Is there such a thing, Casey, as too much faith in Messi for Argentina?
I mean, there is and there isn't. I mean, it's obviously what he's done over the last several tournaments. It was always the case of couldn't quite get there. Well, now he's got him there, and he's got him there and won titles. So now it's unfortunately it's that situation where you almost need a player to say, "I'm done," not the other way around. Because you don't want to be you don't want to be the manager that tells Lionel Messi that he's done, and that doesn't. It's not an enviable place to be, and so I get it. I get it that you kind of say, "Come on, help us out here. Can you do that role that we've let you have? The role of 5 to 10 instances a half, where you can come out of the walking mode and make a difference." And the problem is when he took the knock, he hasn't been able to do that. The question mark now is there been enough time through walking through the quarterfinal match, not pushing himself to where he was going to hurt himself worse, and now have a little bit more time where he's recovered enough where he can have those 5 to 10 moments.
You know what the worst part for Scaloni is here is it'd be one thing if it was just Messi that was in doubt. But there's so many individual performances from Argentina that have been lackluster in the midfield. You can go through that whole midfield line. Rodrigo de Paul, whether it's Paredes, whether it's McAllister, or whatever the case may be of those players, Enzo Fernandez, who have had subpar tournaments for their standard, that he's almost thinking, I can't afford not to have the most special player on the planet when fit. If he tells me he's fit, I have to roll the dice. But you know what it's like as players. We've all been injured. You have to take that away from the player. You have to save the player from himself.
Ale, even against Canada, I mean, wouldn't this be a potentially ideal spot to rest him? Can't this Argentina beat Canada without Messi?
And the question that you're asking has a very, very simple answer. Yes, Argentina should beat Canada even without Lionel Messi. They should be good enough to beat Canada without Lionel Messi. And if we just look at the evidence from this tournament, not other games, not other matches from the past, from this tournament. In this tournament against Peru, you played a second team of Argentina, and that team was running circles around Peru. Now, people are going to tell me, well, Canada is better than Peru. All right, they may be better. Are they significantly better? I'm not quite so sure. The truth of the matter is that Argentina, at their best, without Lionel Messi, anywhere near the field, is better than Canada. It's better than Canada. The talent level for that Argentina team without Lionel Messi is still higher than that of Canada's. But to the point that Hercules was making, people are going to have to raise their level in Argentina. They're going to have to raise their level because against Ecuador, it was a poor performance. And this is what I fear for Canada. They've been hearing, Argentina has, how poor they were individually, as a group. You don't think there's going to be a reaction from the World Cup champion, from the defending Copa America champion, essentially the same group of players? Yes, there will be a reaction. And I feel, as Argentina will show up to this game, with or without Lionel Messi, him playing at his best or not even close to his best, and Argentina will dominate Canada because it is what is demanded from the history of Argentina as a team. It's not just about this tournament. It's the history of Argentina demands that they beat Canada in a semifinal of a Copa America.
If Canada are to compete, are to keep it close, what's the tactic? What's the approach for Jesse Marsch and company?
I don't think they can be as aggressive as Jesse likes his teams to play. I think they have to be a little bit more conservative. They have to pick and choose, excuse me, the opportunities when they can press and when they can drop off and make things frustrating.
What do you guys think?
While I understand what Alejandro is saying, if this Argentina plays to the level that they played against Ecuador, which means they lowered their level, Ecuador could have and should have won that game, realistically, if you think about it. And Canada played to their ceiling with the athleticism that Canada has in transition, with the amount of players that are right now an informed Jacob Shuffleborg, Jonathan David, who at any moment can turn on. Estacio in there, whoever's in there, whether it's Cone or Jonathan Osorio, they have players to hurt you in that final third. But to Casey's point, you need to be very calculated. You can't go in and say full throttle all the time, because even when you showed well against Argentina in the opening day of Copa America and you were fresh, you still lost 2-0, and it could have been uglier. It could have been a lot more than 2-0. So you need to be calculated. But certainly this Argentina team, with what they've shown you in the last game, on grass laid over turf in New York, which will be heavy, if Canada can pick their moments, be smart, and defend well, because they've done relatively well defensively in this tournament, you've got a puncher's chance here.
Ale?
So who are you picking?
Argentina.
Okay, all right. I just wanted to make sure that, because I mean, you had me believing for a second.
No. He asked me what it would take for them to win.
I mean, you had me believing. I felt it.
Canada, right?
I was maple syrup everywhere. Look, honestly, if I look at Argentina and evaluate Argentina, you have to imagine that Argentina, having played against Canada, rather than being an advantage for Canada, it's actually an advantage for Argentina, because they know that that Canada team that you were talking about posed some challenges. They may have been overlooking Canada in that initial game. I don't think they're overlooking Canada now, and certainly not overlooking Canada given their own performance against Ecuador. So it's factors that they're adding together and stacking up together against Canada. The fact that now Argentina knows you, they know you. There are no surprises here. The homework that they had done coming up to the tournament has now been strengthened by the fact that they played against you, and so they now know what your strengths are. There's more flexibility to Argentina as a team. Yeah. Instead, if you think about how does Canada go about winning this game, there aren't many ways that they go about winning this game. Argentina can win it in different ways. Canada, I think the way that they approach it, and with Jesse Mars and the sort of momentum that they have, is this nothing to lose sort of mentality. We're going to go press. We're going to make the field very short. And in making the field very short, we're going to try to get numbers around the ball. We're going to try to force turnovers. So this is when the key for Argentina is being able to play out of that pressure. And if they play out of that pressure, there are spaces in behind. So runs out of the midfield, late runs out of the midfield, the timing of those runs, the timing of those passes will be key for Argentina. I think Argentina is going to play at a high level. And if they play at a high level, I don't care what Canada does. I think I still see Argentina advancing.
I think one thing that Canada does not do is have Maxime Crepeau 40 yards outside of his goal. I think that's the one thing in this match we're not going to see.
Well, actually, it may help if they leave all that space in behind.
If they do pull the upset, Casey,
yes.
Like, how does that strengthen Canada's case for best in CONCACAF? Because you look at it, they would have had by far the best Copa America run, best record in World Cup qualifiers. We've talked about it before. You always say best 9. Hard to argue against Alphonso Davies as the best striker. Maybe you have to throw Jesse Marsh. Sorry, best player in CONCACAF.
Yeah.
Maybe you got to throw Jesse Marsh in there as one of the best managers in CONCACAF. I mean, if
This is
they
it.
beat
Look,
Argentina,
it's a results
how are they
game.
not the top dogs?
That's really what it comes down to. It comes down to results. And if you then are able to consistently get better results than the U.S. or Mexico, then you will be in that conversation. I mean, what we've seen, though, is in Nations League or Gold Cups, there hasn't been a consistency with Canada. They strung together a great qualifying campaign. Excellent. Then they struggled in the World Cup. Then Nations League or whatever, they couldn't string results together. New manager, Jesse comes in late, gets a late opportunity to come into this tournament after qualifying. Now you string together some results. If you get yourself into a final, which
by beating the World Cup champion.
By beating the World Cup champion.
9 games into Jesse Marsh's tenure.
That's
that's the other thing is the ceiling you could start to think
It's the biggest result in Canadian history.
What Sebi's saying isn't too far off. I mean, what do you value more, a Copa America or a Nations League?
Yeah, no, I'm right. But I'm just saying.
Or a Gold Cup where these teams go out with their B teams. Honestly, if you look at it, I mean, Mexico may have the best history. The U.S. men's national team may have the best pool. But the biggest moments now, and if you could look at the World Cup, look at that group that they were in. You know, the golden generation of Belgium and the 2 semifinalists in the 2022 World Cup. This team in this tournament, this was supposed to be the CONCACAF tournament where Mexico was supposed to prove themselves. The U.S. men's national team was supposed to prove themselves. And here we are in a more complicated group. It's Canada.
Talking about Canada.
And they're in a semifinal against Messi and the World Cup champions.
Yeah.
You haven't asked our resident Venezuelan about. Sorry, Ollie.
About what?
Well,
happened?
Canada beats Venezuela to get here. How big from somebody who's played in this tournament over and over. Look, I played in it once or twice. You played in it a bunch with a country that is, trying to prove themselves that they are now in that next tier in this. Is it that big for Canada?
Why are you laughing?
A little loaded. Sorry, my friend. On your birthday, I'm sorry.
My Canadian friends out there. I think it would be a game changer for Canada, quite frankly. I think it puts you in a different category. It puts you in a different profile as well. And when people then talk about Canadian soccer, it's one thing in making it to the World Cup and the group that you were talking about and how impressive they were in the run, making it into the World Cup. I think this only strengthens your profile. And it's hard to argue against the results. And if indeed it comes at the expense of Argentina with Lionel Messi, it's Argentina with Lionel Messi and the history of Argentina, this would be monumental for Canadian soccer. Conversely, I cannot think of a bigger embarrassment for Argentina in losing a Copa America semifinal to Canada. At this level, we're talking about how big this would be for Canada. That's the perspective that we're looking at it. At this particular result, let's look at it from the perspective of Argentina and what that would mean for Argentina.
When you already beat them twice, or beat them 2-0.
Yes. Right.
And then,
yes.
And you're 18 months removed from being World Cup champion.
And you're the defending Copa America champion. And you have the best player of all time on the field. And look, it's great for Canada.
On Argentina. Pressure's on Argentina.
It's great for Canada.
Absolutely.
But history is pushing Argentina forward. And if they're to come up short, the embarrassment would be nonstop.
All right, so it's Argentina against Canada in the first of the two semifinals at Copa America. That one will be played in New Jersey on Tuesday night. Reminder, ESPN FC on ESPN Plus 7 days a week with Dan, Kay, and the rest of the crew.
National team. Messi's not quite holding this team hostage because he still produced and he's still very important to this team, but certainly in a moment like this, you see what he doesn't do when he's not fit for the Argentine national team.
They criticize Roberto Martinez for not making the decision. Why not criticize Scaloni then for not making the decision?
I think you should. I think
really?
Absolutely. What if could you imagine if they lose to Canada? Messi's out there and he's not moving like he didn't move versus Ecuador, and Canada, who's been playing well, have a lot of confidence, are playing with house money, get a result and go to the final, and Argentina's out. What are they going to say?
By the way, these are decisions that can be made. You just mentioned Cristiano Ronaldo. Fernando Santos in the World Cup made the decision and said, no, Cristiano, you got to come and sit here next to me. And in the end, that didn't quite work out for Fernando Santos, Portugal, or Cristiano Ronaldo, and then there's criticism on everybody. Roberto Martinez decided against making that decision. He said, no, we're going to write Cristiano Ronaldo. That didn't work out either. And so, look, we think that the managers have this power. And Fernando Santos obviously thought that he did. I don't know whether Lionel Scaloni has that power or whether he wants to have that power and wants to be the guy that sits down Lionel Messi. I don't know that he wants to be in that role. And so I think it's all too convenient for his own narrative that Lionel Messi tells him, ¿está para jugar? Sí. Okay, then you play.
Right.
And that's a way of him shifting the responsibility onto Lionel Messi and say, look, he told me he's ready to play, I'm going to play. How can I sit him down when he told me he was ready to play?
Is there such a thing, Casey, as too much faith in Messi for Argentina?
I mean, there is and there isn't. I mean, it's obviously what he's done over the last several tournaments. It was always the case of couldn't quite get there. Well, now he's got him there, and he's got him there and won titles. So now it's, unfortunately, it's that situation where you almost need a player to say, I'm done. Not the other way around. Because you don't want to be, you don't want to be the manager that tells Lionel Messi that he's done, and that doesn't. It's not an enviable place to be, and so I get it. I get it that you kind of say, "Come on, help us out here. Can you do that role that we've let you have? The role of 5 to 10 instances a half, where you can come out of the walking mode and make a difference." And the problem is when he took the knock, he hasn't been able to do that. The question mark now is there been enough time through walking through the quarterfinal match, not pushing himself to where he was going to hurt himself worse, and now have a little bit more time where he's recovered enough where he can have those 5 to 10 moments.
You know what the worst part for Scaloni is here is it'd be one thing if it was just Messi that was in doubt. But there's so many individual performances from Argentina that have been lackluster in the midfield. You can go through that whole midfield line. Rodrigo de Paul, whether it's Paredes, whether it's McAllister, or whatever the case may be of those players, Enzo Fernandez, who have had subpar tournaments for their standard, that he's almost thinking, I can't afford not to have the most special player on the planet when fit. If he tells me he's fit, I have to roll the dice. But you know what it's like as players. We've all been injured. You have to take that away from the player. You have to save the player from himself.
Ale, even against Canada, I mean, wouldn't this be a potentially ideal spot to rest him? Can't this Argentina beat Canada without Messi?
And the question that you're asking has a very, very simple answer. Yes, Argentina should beat Canada even without Lionel Messi. They should be good enough to beat Canada without Lionel Messi. And if we just look at the evidence from this tournament and not other games, not other matches from the past, from this tournament. In this tournament, against Peru, you played a second team of Argentina, and that team was running circles around Peru. Now, people are going to tell me, well, Canada is better than Peru. All right, they may be better. Are they significantly better? I'm not quite so sure. The truth of the matter is that Argentina, at their best, without Lionel Messi, anywhere near the field, is better than Canada. It's better than Canada. The talent level for that Argentina team without Lionel Messi is still higher than that of Canada's. But to the point that Hercules was making, people are going to have to raise their level in Argentina. They're going to have to raise their level because against Ecuador, it was a poor performance. And this is what I fear for Canada. They've been hearing, Argentina has, how poor they were, individually, as a group. You don't think there's going to be a reaction from the World Cup champion, from the defending Copa America champion, essentially the same group of players? Yes, there will be a reaction. And I feel, as Argentina will show up to this game, with or without Lionel Messi, him playing at his best or not even close to his best, and Argentina will dominate Canada because it is what is demanded from the history of Argentina as a team. It's not just about this tournament. It's the history of Argentina demands that they beat Canada in a semifinal of a Copa America.
If Canada are to compete, are to keep it close, what's the tactic? What's the approach for Jesse Marsch and company?
I don't think they can be as aggressive as Jesse likes his teams to play. I think they have to be a little bit more conservative. They have to pick and choose excuse me, the opportunities when they can press and when they can drop off and make things frustrating.
What do you guys think?
While I understand what Alejandro is saying, if this Argentina plays to the level that they played against Ecuador, which means they lowered their level, Ecuador could have and should have won that game, realistically, if you think about it. And Canada played to their ceiling with the athleticism that Canada has in transition, with the amount of players that are right now an informed Jacob Shuffleborg, Jonathan David, who at any moment can turn on, Estacio in there, whoever's in there with Escone or Jonathan Osorio. They have players to hurt you in that final third, but to Casey's point, you need to be very calculated. You can't go in and say full throttle all the time, because even when you showed well against Argentina in the opening day of Copa America and you were fresh, you still lost 2-0, and it could have been uglier. It could have been a lot more than 2-0. So you need to be calculated. But certainly this Argentina team, with what they've shown you in the last game, on grass laid over turf in New York, which will be heavy, if Canada can pick their moments, be smart, and defend well, because they've done relatively well defensively in this tournament, you've got a puncher's chance here.
Ale? So who are you picking?
Argentina.
Okay, all right. I just wanted to make sure that, because I mean, you had me believing for a second.
No. He asked me what it would take for them to win.
I mean, you had me believing. I felt it.
Canada, right?
I was maple syrup everywhere. Look, honestly, if I look at Argentina and evaluate Argentina, you have to imagine that Argentina, having played against Canada, rather than being an advantage for Canada, it's actually an advantage for Argentina, because they know that that Canada team that you were talking about posed some challenges. They may have been overlooking Canada in that initial game. I don't think they're overlooking Canada now, and certainly not overlooking Canada given their own performance against Ecuador. So it's factors that they're adding together and stacking up together against Canada. The fact that now Argentina knows you, they know you. There are no surprises here. The homework that they had done coming up to the tournament has now been strengthened by the fact that they played against you, and so they now know what your strengths are. There's more flexibility to Argentina as a team. Yeah. Instead, if you think about how does Canada go about winning this game, there aren't many ways that they go about winning this game. Argentina can win it in different ways. Canada, I think the way that they approach it, and with Jesse Marsch and the sort of momentum that they have, is this nothing to lose sort of mentality. We're going to go press. We're going to make the field very short. And in making the field very short, we're going to try to get numbers around the ball. We're going to try to force turnovers. So this is when the key for Argentina is being able to play out of that pressure. And if they play out of that pressure, there are spaces in behind. So runs out of the midfield, late runs out of the midfield, the timing of those runs, the timing of those passes will be key for Argentina. I think Argentina is going to play at a high level. And if they play at a high level, I don't care what Canada does. I think I still see Argentina advancing.
I think one thing that Canada does not do is have Maxime Crepeau 40 yards outside of his goal. I think that's the one thing in this match we're not going to see.
Well, actually, it may help if they leave all that space in behind.
If they do pull the upset, Casey,
yes.
Like, how does that strengthen Canada's case for best in CONCACAF? Because you look at it, they would have had by far the best Copa America run, best record in World Cup qualifiers. We've talked about it before. You always say best 9. Hard to argue against Alphonso Davies as the best striker. Maybe you have to throw Jesse Marsh. Sorry, best player in CONCACAF.
Yeah.
Maybe you got to throw Jesse Marsh in there as one of the best managers in CONCACAF. I mean, if
This is
they
a-
beat
look,
Argentina,
It's a results
how are they
game.
not the top dogs?
That's really what it comes down to. It comes down to results. And if you then are able to consistently get better results than the U.S. or Mexico, then you will be in that conversation. I mean, what we've seen, though, is in Nations League or Gold Cups, there hasn't been a consistency with Canada. They strung together a great qualifying campaign. Excellent. Then they struggled in the World Cup. Then Nations League or whatever, they couldn't string results together. New manager, Jesse comes in late, gets a late opportunity to come into this tournament after qualifying. Now you string together some results. If you get yourself into a final, which
By beating the World Cup champion.
by beating the World Cup champions,
9 games into Jesse Marsh's
Yes.
tenure.
That's
I mean,
insane.
that's the other
You
thing is
gotta-
the ceiling you could start to think
it's the
about.
biggest result in Canadian history.
What
if you get into
Sebi's
this
saying
result.
isn't too far off. I mean, what do you
That's
value
personal.
more, a Copa America or a Nations League?
Yeah, no, I'm right, but I'm just
Or,
saying,
or
it's
a Gold Cup where
it's
these
gotta
teams
be-
go out with their B teams. Honestly, if you look at it, I mean, Mexico may have the best history. The U.S. men's national team may have the best pool. But the biggest moments now, and if you could look at the World Cup, look at that group they were in. You know, the
What's the
golden
furthest
generation
to
of
come?
Belgium and
Yeah.
the 2 semifinalists in the 2022 World Cup. This team in this tournament, this was supposed to be the CONCACAF tournament where Mexico was supposed to prove themselves. The U.S. men's national team was supposed to prove themselves. And here we are in a more complicated group. It's Canada.
Talking about Canada.
And they're in a semifinal against Messi and the World Cup champions.
Yeah.
You haven't asked our resident Venezuelan about.
Oh. Uh-oh.
Sorry, Ollie.
About what?
Well,
happened?
Canada beats Venezuela to get here. You know, how big from somebody who's played in this tournament over and over. Look, I played in it once or twice.
Yeah.
You know, you played in it a bunch with a country that is, you know, trying to prove themselves that they are now in that next tier in this. Is it that big for Canada? A little loaded. Sorry, my friend. On your birthday, I'm
My
sorry.
Canadian friends out there. I think it would be a game changer for Canada, quite frankly. I think it puts you in a different category. It puts you in a different profile as well. And when people then talk about Canadian soccer, it's one thing in making it to the World Cup and the group that you were talking about and how impressive they were in the run, making it into the World Cup. I think this only strengthens your profile. And it's hard to argue against the results. And if indeed it comes at the expense of Argentina with Lionel Messi, it's Argentina with Lionel Messi and the history of Argentina, this would be monumental for Canadian soccer. Conversely, I cannot think of a bigger embarrassment for Argentina in losing a Copa America semifinal to Canada. At this level, we're talking about how big this would be for Canada. That's the perspective that we're looking at it. At this particular result, let's look at it from the perspective of Argentina and what that would mean for Argentina.
When you already beat them twice, or beat them 2-0.
Yes. Right.
And then,
Yes.
And you're 18 months removed from being World Cup champion.
And you're
Right.
the defending Copa
Champion.
America champion. And you have the best player of all time on the field. And look, it's great
Pressure's
for Canada.
on Argentina. Pressure's on Argentina.
It's great for Canada.
Absolutely.
But history is pushing Argentina forward. And if they're to come up short, the embarrassment would be nonstop.
All right, so it's Argentina against Canada in the first of the 2 semifinals at Copa America. That one will be played in New Jersey on Tuesday night. Reminder, ESPN FC on ESPN Plus 7 days a week with Dan, Kay, and the rest of the crew.
Hey guys, it's Jason. Welcome to the Best Soccer Show. This episode, just me talking about some of the things happening in American soccer because it's been a little while since we've done a show. We've had some things come up in the summer, and it's been busy. And I know you missed us, and you probably we'd like to hear what Jason and Jared have to say about everything going on with the U.S. men's national team, getting bounced from Copa America, the possibility of Greg Berhalter getting fired, maybe also talking about Jesse Marsch finding some success with Canada. Maybe there's a candidate or two you've heard about in the rumor mill for the U.S. men's national team that deserves a little bit of discussion. Yeah, I feel like we probably should be on top of those things. I appreciate your patience for this summer. Things have been a little crazy for us, but we are ready to do shows. In fact, coming up on Thursday, which I guess will be July 11th, Jared and I will be doing a show in our normal time slot, 9 p.m. Eastern time, so make sure you set your calendar for that. In fact, while you're here, like and subscribe to the Best Soccer Show on YouTube. If you're listening via podcast, the podcast will be out on the normal schedule on Friday morning or whenever we can get it up after we do the show on Thursday. So, the big stuff happening in American soccer. The United States failing to get out of the group at Copa America. How big of a failure is this? I think it's pretty unforgivable, a failure for the U.S. men's national team. And what bothers me most about this failure isn't really the way it happened. The red card and the subsequent events against Panama are beyond Greg Berhalter's control. In some sense, I'll come back to this because it's all wrapped up in some other ideas that certainly I've been thinking about and a lot of people have been thinking about. But the fact that the United States failed to make it out of the group, you kind of have to separate that from the results. Let's just review very quickly because why not? Why not relive our pain? The U.S. fails to beat Bolivia by a score that felt definitive. They get the job done. They get 3 points. It sets them up for the remaining 2 games. But we've started to see, or we were already seeing, even in game number 1, that maybe this team wasn't quite up for it, ready to play at this level as we had hoped for. Then, of course, you get the game against Panama, the early collision with Matt Turner, which set things on a bad course, and then almost immediately the red card from Tim Weah that puts the United States behind the 8 ball, down a man, against not a great team, Panama. I mean, we've seen it. We saw what they did against Colombia, getting absolutely shellacked in the quarterfinal. But that game and the way it went, sort of elements of it beyond Berhalter's control. We can talk about whether or not it was smart to go into a shell the way the Americans did in the second half, taking off a number of players who could have helped you at least provide some danger and maybe kept Panama honest. I think the Ethan Horvath involvement in replacement as a replacement for Matt Turner certainly affected that game. I don't want to relitigate that game. That's 1 point of failure. But again, everything looked like you should have been able to progress out of the group stage if you were mildly competent. So you set yourself up for the game against.
Anyway, with Tagliafico on this near side, the Argentinian left. And he returns the ball to Martinez, who plays a square pass to Christian Romero of Tottenham. Back to Martinez of Manchester United. And he just guides the ball back into the path of his goalkeeper, Emi Martinez. 2 Martinezes on the field. If Lautaro had been on the field, there would have been 3. The ball forward there is put out for a throw. on this near side. The Argentinian left. That was Moises Bombito putting it out for a throw. Argentina have taken it and gone all the way back into their own half to Emi Martinez, who just rolls the ball out a few yards to Christian Romero. He returns it to his keeper, who's now in the D. He's actually walked out of his own penalty area. He doesn't want to miss-kick it from there. That wouldn't be a great start. He's just directing some traffic. He's even got some blue and white streaks in his hair, Martinez, to line up with his team shirts, even though he's dressed mostly in green. Ball played over the halfway line. But Argentina forced to retreat again. Romero didn't do very well with that, and he's given the ball away. Can Canada spring on the break? Larin plays it inside. Kone tried to latch onto it. Romero tied it up and got the ball back to Emi Martinez in the Argentine goal. It's out for a throw on the far side, midway inside the Argentine half. On the right-hand side, thrown it into Canadian territory. And here is a ball across the box. It was played across, but nobody could quite get onto it. Canada will try and break forward themselves. They played a ball looking for Larin, but didn't find him. They've got it back again, though, and they can come forward themselves with Alistair Johnston. He's played a ball down the right-hand side. It's a good ball too, and it's found Richie Laria. He tried to put it across the box. I think it's gone out for a corner. It's flicked off an Argentine player. That's met with approval from Jesse Marsh, who claps from the sidelines. Jesse Marsh, of course, 50-year-old coach, 300-plus MLS appearances as a player, 2 caps for his country, coached in Germany and Austria, as well as a season at Leeds in the Premier League in 2022-23. Anyway, the corner's going to be swung in by Jacob Schaffelberg. He's put it into the box. It's headed away by Christian Romero, I think that is. It's gone to the far side of the field and reached Rodrigo de Paul, and he's won a throw for his side about midway inside the half on the right hand side, or no, short of that in fact, probably 25 yards from the corner flag. It's thrown back to Romero, and he found Martinez. Romero has it once more, sweeps it to the left, and Martinez, Montiel plays it up the line, but Argentina have been muscled off the ball. Here's Larin, barges his way past 2. That's a good ball as well. Can they get in a shot from the edge of the area? Schaffelberg tries one, but it's always rising, and it's over the bar. But Canada have got about Argentina in these first few minutes. We're just coming up to 5 minutes gone. Argentina 0, Canada 0, and they're going to need to be that industrious through the whole of this game, you feel, if they're going to really give the world champions a shock. Here is Romero, square to Martinez. Martinez, who missed nearly the whole season at Manchester United with foot and knee injuries, only came back for the FA Cup final in May, which of course they won, beating their rivals Manchester City. Ball down the line from Argentina. De Paul goes down in the box under a challenge from Alfonso. In fact, it's Di Maria that went down in the box under a challenge from Alfonso Davis, but referee didn't see anything untoward in it. Ball is played forward, looking for the run of Larin, but it's cleared away by Argentina. Tagliafico was in quickly. Here is Eustachio finding Johnson, and now on this near side, Richie Laria, who's bundled over down by the halfway line, and referee says that's a free kick to the Canadians just inside the Argentinian half. We're having a look at that incident again with Di Maria, and fact, it was Bombito that put the challenge in. I don't think there was anything in that at all. Free kick taken by Johnson. He just floats it into the hands of Emi Martinez. That's a poor one. They're going to have to do better with their set pieces if they want to cause a problem today, you feel. Anyway, here's DePaul finding Romero. DePaul once more up towards the halfway line. Some slick passing from Argentina. This is better from them. Here's Tagliafico lofting it forward. Can they latch onto it on this near side? Well, they tried to play it back to Tagliafico, but Canada have snapped in and they've won the ball and they've laid it forward. Christian Romero was tangling with Schaffelberg. Schaffelberg's got it though, and he's in the area and he shoots wide. Well, he's had a couple of sighters. As Jacob Schaffelberg. He was the scorer of the goal against Venezuela in normal time, which sent that tie to penalties. In fact, put Canada ahead in that match. And he caused a little bit of consternation there with the ball forward. He was in the left side of the area. And in the end, his shot was probably 5 yards wide. He was trying to shoot across Emi Martinez. And didn't get his range right. Argentina have slid it out for a throw on the far side to Canada. 10 yards inside the Argentina half. Will be taken by Alphonso Davies. He throws it in to Eustachio. Now it's in the centre circle with Bombito. Here's Johnson. Johnson playing it to this near side. Well, Larrea didn't keep it in. It was fizzed at him somewhat from fairly close range, and he couldn't keep the ball in play. So that's out for a throw to Argentina. Tagliafico to take. Throws it back to Martinez, and he plays it square to Christian Romero. He picks it up once more. Finds Martinez. Martinez just drops a shoulder, takes it past one man, plays it up to the halfway line, but that's a careless ball forward. It runs all the way through and out for a goal kick to the Canadians. To be taken by Maxime Crepeau. His 22nd cap today, the Portland Timbers goalkeeper. He missed the World Cup after breaking his leg in November 22 in the MLS Cup final. So that makes this appearance of Copa America an even bigger deal for him. Ball is at the opposite end of the field with Romero. Now Martinez. He's played it back to Enzo Fernandez, who's playing very deep early on in this game. He's ventured a bit further forward now. Argentina move the ball out to this left-hand side. That's good play. Laid down this left-hand side. Drifted in by Julian Alvarez. Latched onto. But Canada clear once more into the centre circle. Tried a little bit of link-up play, but Argentina on the recovery run got the ball back to Martinez. They've certainly got some pace up front there, the Canadians, and they will cause Argentina some problems if they can get out often enough, you feel. There was a ball played over the halfway line by Argentina, but Canada have dealt with that well, and they've got the ball back to Crepeau. Crepeau finds Bombito. Here's Johnson right on this near touchline, the Canadian right. And played infield to Kone, who's now in the centre circle, looking for help. He finds Eustachio. Back to Kone, who's on the centre spot. To his right, to Johnston. Oh, that's a nice flick. That's set David running forward. Got to the edge of the penalty area. There was a good challenge. And Enzo Fernandez tidies up. Finds Montiel. Montiel plays it forward. Messi gets a touch. out to Di Maria on the right-hand side. He's running at his man. He's played it back inside. Messi shoots and shoots wide. Well, he hasn't scored yet in this Copa America tournament. Messi missed one game through injury. Came back for the quarter-final. Quite sharp in that. But just one assist so far for the great man with 8 Ballon d'Ors to his name. 108 goals in 185 internationals. It wasn't that far from being 109. And the Argentinian fans know it, watching in the crowd. Crepo starts us off again. He has the ball in his 6-yard box. Kicks it forward left-footed. Reaches the halfway line in Schaffelberg, but have been penalised, the Canadians, for a push on Christian Romero. Marine is the man penalised, and rightly so. He just barged into the back of the Tottenham man. So this is a free kick to Argentina. It's probably 15 yards in from the far touchline, the right, and just forward of the centre circle. It's taken short by De Paul. Played out to that far side, and Di Maria. Argentina have retreated back into their own half with Romero to Martinez, who's well out of his goal, well out of his penalty area. He just rolls it forward to Romero once more. Romero exchanges passes with his centre-back partner Martinez and then plays it over the halfway line. Enzo Fernandez sweeps it left. Here's Tagliafico. Tried to play a forward ball to the edge of the penalty area, but Maria this is better from them. Here's Tagliafico lofting it forward. Can they latch onto it onto the centre circle in his own half? De Paul gets it out to the far side, plays a little 1-2 and gets it back. That's a loose pass forward. Bombito can tidy up. And Alphonso Davies can look to make ground up the left. They've given it away though, Canada. They've got to protect it better than that. De Paul chips a lovely ball over the left back. Di Maria played it back inside towards Messi, but Messi didn't really control it that well. Did I really say that? Well, I did, because he didn't. And here come Canada over the halfway line. Here's Jonathan David. Oh, he's been hustled out of it. Hustled out of it well too. And here come Argentina again with De Paul. Rodrigo De Paul finds Di Maria. Di Maria has it back again. Plays the ball through. Oh, he was looking for the run of Messi. I don't know whether Messi had run into an offside position. But there was a good interception by one of the centre-backs, Derek Cornelius. And Canada survived that particular scare. There's a young man in a Messi t-shirt. A very young man who's already fallen asleep. I didn't think the start of the game was that bad. Here come Argentina again, out on the far side. They're about 35 yards from goal. They chip it into the penalty area, but Crepo has read that, come off his line and claimed it before Messi could get onto it. And he holds the ball and rolls it out to Kone. Kone to his right to Johnston. Johnston back to Bombito, and he finds Derek Cornelius. Bombito once more. He and Cornelius just exchanging passes about 10 yards forward of their 18-yard box. They now involve Eustachio. It's come to Johnston. Johnston to Kone. Kone flicks it forward, but there's no one there. And Martinez intercepts. Rodrigo De Paul played it to a central position 35 yards out. Ball to the edge of the penalty area is cut out though. The last pass is going astray for both sides at the moment. Here is Kone bursting forward down the right hand side. He's got a man inside him. He's played it fractionally behind him. Oh, he played it fractionally behind Larin, who then in turn tried to find Schaffelberg, but Schaffelberg was on his heels. I think worried he was going to run into an offside position. The danger passed for Argentina, but they were caught on the break there. And Canada had sufficient men forward to cause them a problem. Couldn't work the ball properly. It's a pity for them. Here's Di Maria on the halfway line, but he's beaten to it by Alphonso Davies, who bursts forward. That's a good ball too, looking for David. Can he spin his man? He's looking for help. He's played it to the far side of the area, but again behind its target. Can Davies retrieve it? He shoots, it's blocked. Well, again adventurous play by Canada. They now might be caught on the break. Well, there's a shot from distance with the goalkeeper off his line, but it's well off target. It was worth a try from Julian Alvarez. He was in his own half and he launched a shot, seeing that Crepo had ventured from his goal, but he was a good 10 yards wide. But enterprising from Alvarez, the Manchester City man, back in the side today. But Canada causing a few problems for Argentina early in this game. Here's Alistair Johnson on the near touchline, the Canadian right, back inside into the centre circle to Kone. Kone finds Schaffelberg, and Schaffelberg finds Davies, who's over the halfway line once more. Back to Johnston, to the right of the centre circle, and they've worked it nicely. Here's Laria, can he pull it back? I think it's gone out. It had gone out before he could pull it back. Again, they found space down that right-hand side, in behind Tagliafico. This is pretty adventurous from Canada. They haven't come to put 11 men behind the ball in this semi-final. I think Jesse Marsh has decided that if they're going to go down to the World Champions, they're going to go down having tried to give them a game, which will make it a better game for the neutral. Well, Lisandro Martinez has it at the back, swings it to the right-hand side, and Montiel, he finds DePaul. Here's Romero, 15 yards forward of his 18-yard area. He's signalling to a few people to move forward, but then just plays it left to Martinez. And Martinez finds his goalkeeper in the D. Romero once more. And Martinez once more. Ventures towards the halfway line, hits a long ball from left to right, but Davies has tidied that one up nicely. Here's Eustachio with a long ball straight onto the chest of Martinez, who finds Romero. Romero to Montiel, now out to that far side for Argentina on the halfway line. Back to Romero once more, and he finds Martinez. Martinez exchanging passes with Romero. And they now have it in the centre circle with Enzo Fernandez, who plays it left. Tagliafico tried to run onto it. He was initially stopped, but he's managed to recycle it. And here is DePaul. DePaul chipping into the penalty area. It's come to the far side. Will Johnston clear? Tagliafico slid in. But the ball's out for a goal kick. I don't think they quite kept that in play, Argentina, on the far side. I think the Canadian defender liked that challenge very much from Tagliafico. As we get an aerial shot of the MetLife Stadium here in East Rutherford. It really is a massive bowl. Absolutely huge. And looks spectacular from the air. Here's Crepo finding Cornelius. And Bombito in his own 18-yard area. Johnston chips it forward towards the halfway line, headed further forward. Jonathan David, here's Laria. Laria over the halfway line, but Enzo Fernandez gets back to tidy up for Argentina, who haven't had it all their own way in this first 20 minutes, just over 20 minutes played. Argentina 0, Canada 0. A fairly close shot from Lionel Messi at one end. A couple of off-target efforts from Canada at the other. Neither goalkeeper seriously exercised so far in this semi-final, which To remind you, because of the rules of this competition, if it's level after 90 minutes, it will go straight to penalties. Only the final has extra time in this competition. Here's Lisandro Martinez up to the halfway line, and Tagliafico just in from this near touchline, the Argentinian left. Martinez once more. Romero. It's played up the right hand side this time, but too far. And Canada tidy up and get the ball back to Crepo, who clears right-footed up towards the halfway line. Laria jumps. He thought he was pushed in the back by his marker, but again referee Mazza says nothing doing. Here's Enzo Fernandez. Tagliafico just over the halfway line. Finds Martinez in his own half to the left of the centre circle. He plays it to the right of that circle, and Romero. Now the ball dinks it forward. There could be a way through here. They're through this time, and Alvarez scores. Julian Alvarez has opened the scoring. It was a lovely ball forward. It found Alvarez in a central position around the D, and he fired it past Crepo, who got something on it but couldn't keep it out. And the world champions have struck first here in the MetLife Stadium. Julian Alvarez, the scorer. Argentina 1, Canada 0. It's a lovely piece of football. It's De Paul who plays the ball between the two centre-backs. Alvarez got onto it in the D, advanced to just to the right of the penalty spot, and fired through the legs of Crepo, who couldn't stop it. Really good finish. Bombito tried to get back and couldn't. Alvarez steadied himself and put it through the legs of Crepo. So Argentina strike first, and Canada's task now is all the harder, despite their bright start to this game. Julian Alvarez, the scorer for Argentina. It's his 9th goal for his country on his 35th appearance. A lovely goal from the Manchester City man. And that's got the Argentinian flags waving. So Canada now trail. I said that they'd been very positive in this first 20 odd minutes, and that they'd obviously decided they were going to go down on their sword rather than with everyone behind the ball. Will that knock their confidence, I wonder? Here's Kone out to Alphonso Davies. The skipper's got to rally his side now. Eustachio. And now Kone, a Canadian of Congolese descent, finds Bombito. Bombito to Johnston. Johnston does well to hold his man off. He's got Laria inside him. Just checks back. They've got it into the penalty area, but it's headed away by Argentina. Only to Bombito though. And here's Johnston again. Johnston was claiming he was fouled, and the referee agrees with him. He's given a free kick to Canada for that foul. So here's a chance from a set piece for the Canadians to strike back immediately. This free kick is probably 10 yards outside the box, and just to the right of the right hand side of the D as Canada play. They've got two men around the ball. Seems to be a little bit of a discussion between Davis and Eustachio. So it's either Eustachio's right foot or Davis's left. Davis has got his arm aloft, but it's Eustachio leaves it to Davis. He drifts it in, headed away, good header away by Romero as well, to the far side, where Johnston picks the ball up, plays it back to Laria, who's 35 yards from goal, plays it to Johnston again. Johnston drifts it in from the left, but straight into the hands of Emi Martinez. Jonathan David gets in front of him to stop him clearing it quickly so that Canada can regather their positions. Referee's whistle's gone. And, he's having a word with Rodrigo De Paul, who was complaining about something. We're seeing a rerun of the goal while that is going on. It was made by Rodrigo de Paul's pass. I think VAR were looking at a little bit of mischief off the ball, but they've obviously decided there was nothing too untoward in it. It involved Laria and Tagliafico. I think they've decided it was a storm in a teacup and something over nothing. Here's Emi Martinez, just forward of the D, rolling it to his right with his left foot. Argentinian fans now in good voice. They've taken the lead. A few early scares, but all appears right with the world now. If you are the world champions. Martinez off to his right, where he finds Romero. Back to the goalkeeper again, who's in the D, venturing out of his goal. He sticks, well, he points as if he wants to plant the ball somewhere, but keeps it at his feet for the time being. See more pictures of Argentinian fans full of song. There's Lisandro Martinez dinking it forward over the halfway line, looking for the runner, but doesn't find him. It's tidied up by Bombito. Bombito did well. Kone to Eustachio, and now Johnston just in from this near touchline, the Canadian right, and just short of the halfway line. Eustachio finds Cornelius. Cornelius to Kone, who's moved to the other side of the pitch now, the left, still short of halfway, to Bombito and Johnston. Bombito once more for Canada, finds Cornelius. Cornelius plays his club football in Malmo. His ball forward's just gone through to Martinez again. Cornelius, a Barbadian father and a Jamaican mother, but born in Ontario, so decided to play his football for Canada. Argentina have it with Romero 10 yards in front of his own 18-yard box, exchanges passes with Fernandez, waits to be approached by one of the Canadian forwards, Jonathan David, and then plays the ball to his goalkeeper, Martinez of Aston Villa. One of the heroes of the World Cup penalty shootout, of course, that Argentina prevailed in against France. Played to the far side, Montiel. Back to Martinez once more. Martinez just plays it right-footed to Lisandro Martinez. And he finds Romero. Romero to De Paul, who's all over the pitch early in this game. Tried to burst forward there, De Paul, but they gave the ball away. Davis laid the ball forward, looking for the run of Jonathan David. Didn't find him, but Canada have recycled it. Here's Johnston, just over the halfway line in the centre circle. Eustachio, and now Kone, Schaffelberg. Schaffelberg was prominent in the first 10 minutes of this game. We haven't seen much of him the last quarter of an hour or so. He won Canada a throw there, and the ball is back in the centre circle with Cornelius. It's Johnston. Back to Cornelius once more. He's got Bombito alongside him, but uses Johnston, who's still short of the halfway line. Kone. Back to Bombito. Here's Cornelius in his orange boots. Kone to Eustachio, just short of the centre circle, up to the halfway line, and Laria. Eustachio gets another touch. Kone's latched onto it. Johnston on the halfway line, midway between the centre circle and the right touchline. Oh, Laria didn't control that very well. He slid in to try and keep hold of the ball. Ball's played across to the left-hand side, but Argentina tidy that one up very nicely. Combination of Romero and Montiel sorting that one out. So here is Lisandro Martinez as we tick past the half-hour mark here at the MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford. Argentina 1, Canada 0 in this first semi-final of the Copa America. Martinez swings the ball into the centre circle. Canada into step with Eustachio. Well, David's foot was a little high there on that ball forward. Player's gone to ground, and Jonathan David has been booked for that challenge. His foot was high. I'm not sure if the well, it's Romero actually who got the boot. Oh dear. A boot in the inner thigh, I think we would say. Not quite in the cricket box area, but not that far away from it. Romero's still on the ground. The Tottenham man. With the new season not that far away, Tottenham fans will hope there's nothing too serious about this. Romero, 35th cap. Scored 5 times for Spurs in 2023-4. The most he's managed in a single domestic season. We're seeing pictures of an Argentinian fan with a very long beard, which he's dyed blue and white in honour of his team. Well, Romero is still on the ground, and the Argentinian players are asking why the physios aren't out there to help him out, as we see a rerun of the Julian Alvarez goal, which separates the sides. It went through the legs of Crepo. Did actually hit Crepo's right leg, but he couldn't keep it out. So the Manchester City man's goal separates the two teams. But Tottenham man Romero is still on the ground. And so he appears to have got to his feet at last, somewhat gingerly. Well, they're leaving him to take the free kick. I'm not sure that's terribly wise. I think he could probably do with a breather for a moment. In fact, he's left it to Enzo Fernandez, who tried to sweep it out to the right-hand side. It's been missed, and it's been lofted towards goal and just wide. Well, Di Maria was close there. The defender made a hash of the free kick forward from Enzo Fernandez. It was made a complete hash of by Alphonso Davies. And Di Maria hit it first time, trying to chip it over the goalkeeper towards the far corner. It was just a little high and a little wide, but not far. It could easily have been 2, and that would have been major problems for Canada. At 1-0, they're still just about in the game. At 2-0, I think they would be in serious trouble. Well, here is Romero, who appears to have got over his studs in the thigh incident. Messi picks it up. Lovely little 1-2. Messi's on the way forward. He's played it out to the left-hand side. Here's Tagliafico, deflected and wide. But it's out for a corner. Well, that was the first real little spark from Lionel Messi. He shot wide early in the game, but that was a lovely little run forward. Little 1-2 with De Paul. Played it to the left of the area, and Tagliafico struck it well. And it deflected off the defender and wide. Good covering, actually. I think that was Laria who'd got back to put the challenge in. So a corner from the left for Argentina. 35 minutes played. They lead 1-0. And they're now pressing for a second. Messi to take the corner. An outswinger with his left foot headed towards goal, but over the top. Not a particularly dangerous header, that one, from Lisandro Martinez. Scored in the quarter-final, of course, against Ecuador from a corner, but couldn't get that one on target. So it remains 1-0. Maxime Crepo to take the goal kick and takes it short to Bombito. Alistair Johnston just outside his own penalty area. Finds Bombito again. Square pass to Cornelius on the edge of his 18-yard box. He slips as he passes it. It was Schaffelberg, who attempted to flick the pass on into the direction of Larin, but didn't find him. Another little pass between the lines. Found Messi, but his touch off to Alvarez didn't quite come off. And Canada picked the ball up in the centre circle. They've played it to their right. And Jonathan David. David back to Bombito, who's in the centre circle, moving to his left. Plays it left to Cornelius. Cornelius out to the far touchline. Schaffelberg plays it on, again looking for Larin, but again doesn't find him. That's a dangerous pass back by one of the Argentinian players. Martinez read the danger and swept it up to the halfway line. Kone's onto the ball for Canada. Finds Schaffelberg. Schaffelberg puts in an early ball from the left-hand side. Comes out as far as Kone. Will they work it to this right-hand side? They will. Here's Laria. He's forced to go back to Johnston, 35 yards from goal. And he passes it square to Kone. Kone back to Laria towards this near touchline. He's only 10 yards in from the touchline, but he's retreating. He has to come back inside the Canadian half to Moises Bombito. Eustachio. And now Kone gets the ball again. Finds Alistair Johnston just in from the near touchline, the Canadian right. Ball played forward, but they've given it away somewhat loosely. It's Alvarez, the goal scorer, to Martinez, back to his goalkeeper, who clears short and left-footed to Montiel. And Argentina will build again from deep. Enzo Fernandez, his attempted pass is cut out though, and here's a chance for Canada. They've got it to the edge of the penalty area, but David couldn't take the ball in stride. Schaffelberg tried to help him, but couldn't latch onto it. Now another ball's lofted towards the Argentinian penalty area, headed away by Romero. Only breaks as far as Alphonso Davis though. Davis tries to take on DePaul, swept across by Schaffelberg. That's going to be too long, and it's going to go out for a goal kick on this near side. That was a little better from Canada. Got in amongst Argentina again, as they were doing early in the game. They couldn't manufacture a chance. Haven't really exercised Emi Martinez in the way that they might have liked so far in this game. Here's Enzo Fernandez. 59% possession for Argentina to 41 for Canada. It's about the same as it was in the group game on the first day of the competition. Pretty sure that was 60-40. Here's Martinez again, the Argentinian keeper, to Romero, who just walks the ball forward, just forward of his 18-yard box. He's found Messi. Messi's knocked it out to the right-hand side, and Di Maria back inside to Messi. Messi runs between two. He goes down, but the referee says no foul. Well, now the ball's hit the referee as Canada tried to clear it. So, well, the referee should have stopped play there, and he didn't. Well, he has stopped play. I'm not sure he made that terribly clear, but he had to stop play because the ball hit him that Canada had cleared, so he should now give the ball back to the Canadians. Messi in the meantime says, why wasn't that a foul? Well, he might have a case, that has to be said, but the referee wasn't particularly interested. Messi's still having a word in his ear. Referee Mazza still isn't interested. Referee Mazza was one of 10 Chilean referees to be sacked in 2022 in an initiative by the head of Chilean Football Referees Commission to Javier Castrilli to get younger referees in the game. And the referees union rioted about it, and Castrilli was sacked instead. And all the referees were reinstated. So making waves isn't always the right thing to do, apparently. There's Derek Cornelius to Bombito. And now Alistair Johnson. Back to Bombito. Swept from right to left by Eustachio, but it's not a particularly good ball. It's given possession back to the Argentinians. De Paul sweeps it out to Di Maria, and now Messi latches onto it just inside the Canadian half, turns away from a challenge, sweeps it out left, good ball to Tagliafico. But Tagliafico comes backwards, and Argentina are back in their own half. They've been fairly circumspect here, Argentina, in this first half. Schaffelberg intercepts a ball, and is then taken down from behind by Rodrigo De Paul. That'll be a free kick to Canada. 3.5 minutes of the first half remaining. Argentina 1, Canada 0. Canada have taken the free kick. Here's Johnston, just short of the halfway line, chipping it forward. But the runners didn't really read that, and it made it easy for Lisandro Martinez to sweep up the danger and find his goalkeeper. And Romero starts Argentina off again. Lots of pointing going on, but he just plays a square pass to Enzo Fernandez. He moves it further left to Lisandro Martinez. To the right again, and Fernandez, and to the right again, and Romero, who's inching towards the halfway line. Fernandez latches onto the ball once more. Played up the touchline by Argentina, the far touchline, their right. It's out for a throw. Throw to Argentina. 2.5 minutes plus stoppage time left in the first half. There'll be a little bit of stoppage time because Romero had that injury when he was kicked in the thigh. It's a stray pass from Argentina. David flicks the ball onto Schaffelberg, but he's hustled off it by some strong work from the goal scorer, Julian Alvarez. And that enables Argentinas to get on the ball again. Rodrigo De Paul inside to Christian Romero. Now out to the far touchline. Argentina bring it back towards the centre, courtesy of Messi. And Messi plays it to his left to Lisandro Martinez. Martinez gives the ball away, but Canada don't protect the ball properly. It's a poor pass from Larin, and Loria shows his discontent. Long ball forward from Argentina. That's a really good pass. Finds Di Maria back inside. Here's a chance for a shot, and it's wide. It's wide from Lionel Messi. I was expecting the net to bulge. He got himself just to the left of centre in the penalty area, and you'd have probably put your house on him to score from there, or you'd have lost your house, because Lionel Messi, who still hasn't scored in the tournament, has missed again. Oh, he looks skywards. He's irritated. The lady in the crowd's got her hands cupped sort of over her nose, as if she's in total astonishment. Well, madam, you're not alone. There's a free kick to Argentina. The flag had gone up for offside against Kyle Larin. So a free kick to Argentina midway inside their half. Lisandro Martinez just settles for sending the ball to his goalkeeper. Here's Romero walking it forward once more. Montiel further up the touchline. They've gone back to Romero. Rodrigo De Paul comes and gets the ball off Romero. Finds Martinez. Tagliafico. 2 minutes of time added on at the end of the half. Alistair Johnson tried to hassle Enzo Fernandez. Hassled him too strongly and gave away a free kick. Midway inside the half to Argentina, who will probably settle now for going in at half-time 1 to the good. Enzo Fernandez finds Rodrigo De Paul, who lost another ball forward. That wasn't one of his better ones, but it's broken for Argentina. Here's Alvarez out to the right of the penalty area. If they can get a ball across here, there's trouble, because they've got plenty of men forward. Slightly misplaced pass. It still comes to the edge of the box, and it's chipped over the top. Messi again. Still can't get his range right. Throws his arms towards the floor in frustration. He tried a little chip. It was never going to come up and down from there. I think it was still rising when it went over the bar. Surely he will score in the Copa America eventually. In the meantime, here's Crepo to kick right-footed over the halfway line. Canada started well in the first 15 or 20 minutes of this game. Since the Argentinian goal, they've struggled somewhat. Here's Alistair Johnston. We've got 30 seconds left of the 2 minutes they've added on time. So if they're going to do something, they've got to do something quickly. Maybe they're going to try a long throw into the box because Bombito's gone forward. This will be the last act of the half, you feel. Here is Johnston, winging one in. And, oh, they got round the back. And they got a shot in. It's out for a corner. Will there be time to take it? I think that was Jonathan David sneaking in on the byline. The throw cleared the two players that went to head it. David got in to the right of the 6-yard box. And his effort from very close range hit the chest of Martinez and went wide. Well, this will be the last act. This particular corner. A corner from the right. For Canada to be taken by Schaffelberg. Can they strike? Right on the stroke of half-time. Oh, Rodrigo de Paul